Hey guys, this is Jesse here at Jesse Lee Strength and Fitness. I just got back from a trip to Mexico, which was fantastic. Thanks for asking. I also did a lot of great kind of beach workouts down there. I did no phone while I was on vacation, so that's why I didn't post any videos. But what I wanted to do briefly here was just show you some of the dynamic workouts that I was doing. I'm going to start off. This video is going to be about kind of the dynamic warm-up that was very kind of simple and kind of free-flowing. And so I'll just go ahead and get started. Kind of the difference between like a dynamic warm-up between kind of a little bit more methodical warm-up in the gym for me is that the movements in the dynamic movement kind of mimic movements that you might be doing during your athletic activity. And then, so the athletic activity typically is going to be like maybe a field-based sport, something like, ultimate frisbee, might be tennis, it might be sprinting. And then for me, in doing some of the more powerlifting / grind workouts in the gym, the workout and the warm-up are going to be a little bit different. So in both instances, it's good to kind of have multiple tools for your movements. So I wanted to go ahead and show you that right now and get started. So what I would do first is I kind of go from floor up for my dynamic warm-up. So I will typically just start out with stretching my feet. And I was doing this in the sand, but basically I'm just going to flex and extend the foot. As you can see, just watching the foot, I'm just doing some flexing and extending, stretching that big toe out and making sure that the big toe is flexible. And I'm going to do both feet. So this feels pretty darn good. And if you've got a really stiff big toe, definitely that's something you'd want to work on. And so I would do that, a few times each way. And then I basically would do a single leg stand. And I'm just going to do some ankle rotations on both sides. And then I'm going to press the gas pedal down and back. So just doing a little bit of foot and ankle warm up. So just doing both sides here. Flex and extend. And this is a real brief demo. I'm just kind of going over quickly. That's kind of a little bit of the foot and ankle start. And then what I do is I would just kind of grab my knees and just do some little bit knee noodles around and just kind of flex and extend those knees. And then I'm going to go ahead and do some hula hoops with the hips and move in both directions and just do some nice swiveling. So you can see from the side, just swiveling. This is a gentle kind of warm up. And then I would just do some RDLs. So I'm just going to do some hamstring stretching. And you can see here from the side, just really super simple, reaching down about mid-calf, getting the hips back behind you. I'm not flexing at the back, I'm flexing at the hips. And then I would just do some lateral side bends. Really gentle on these, just lateral flexion of the spine. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and move up a little bit. We'll go up into the shoulders. I'm just going to do some big shoulder rotations. And then some reverse shoulder rotations. And then I'm going to do just some small shoulder rotations. And then some reverse shoulder rotations. Okay, that's that. And I'm going to flex my wrist and hands. I like to do this because in some of this dynamic stuff, I would be doing some crawling. And so making sure that my wrists are really nice and mobilized. So that's pretty good there. And then I'm just going to do some head nods. And then some head rotations. And then I'm going to do some standing back extensions. So just kind of pushing through my hips and getting my little bit of lumbar extension. And that feels really good. And then last, kind of simple, is just some trunk rotations. I got a little bit of an adjustment out of that. Okay, so that's kind of the standing series. And then basically what I would do next would be some more dynamic stuff. So I would do a half kneeling kind of reach to get that psoas. So I'm kind of leaning into this. So it'll look something like this. And then I'd switch. I'll do a couple of those on each side. Then I might just do some little lunge rotations. And then I'll just do some like just lateral shuffles. And then I might do some alternating kind of soldier kicks. And then move into some Cossack squats. So just some lateral adductor work. You can see the Cossack, just kind of just gentle movements laterally side to side. And then I'm just going to go ahead and step over the fence, forward. And then I'll step over the fence backwards. And then I'm going to do some kind of standing quad stretch. So I'm just grabbing and leaning. A little bit of single leg balance work in this too. This stretches out the front of those hip flexors. So there's that. And then I think I would do a little bit of more hamstring work. So a little bit of kneeling, kind of standing like this. So you're basically side angle, step, side angle, step, side angle, step. And then we'll get a little bit more dynamic. We'll start to kind of move, go in reverse. And then we'll just do some chest pulls for the glute. Then we can just do a little bit of more kind of dynamic work. And we'll do some more lateral shuffles. And then we can do some karaoke. And then we'll just do some gentle bounding, landing. And then last but not least, maybe just sit down into the bottom of a squat. Stretch out your ankles, your knees. And that would be it. So that is kind of a simple feet to head dynamic warm up. Hope that helps.